All right. Buenas noches, mi amigos and amigas. We're going to talk about a little more in depth about the label here. We did a short version of that on the Instagram and Facebook. We're kind of going to dive in a little more here. Again, I can't even tell you the amount of styles we went through, edits to get to this right here. It was always in the center was the Irish clattering and the Mexican Sacred Heart coming together as one, and the center being the pina, the heart, which is the heart of the agave plant, and then you have the crown there, which actually is the pinca leaves, which is the leaves of the agave plant. So it kind of pulls together. The outside border was, wanted something to identify and separate the label itself. Sitting on the bottom, I just walk into whiteness. I didn't like that. So as we walked around more Oaxaca, I started seeing more embroidery, and it was kind of more traditional, and it was generations deep. It's indigenous culture. So that was one thing I loved about it, but it also helps as you see it wrapped around it. To me, it represents the community inside of Mitla and Matatlan down there, because they protect mezcal, they protect the agave fields to give it what it is to create that mezcal. So that is the outside sort of border for it to protect. As you come in more, it's kind of hard to see a little bit of it, but you'll start seeing the hands here. So the hands obviously are coming from the Irish clattering. You always see the heart held by hands and a crown in Irish clattering. There's a lot of similarities down there as you start moving around with the pinca, the heart of the pina, sorry, the heart of the agave plant, and then you have the pinca, the leaves. Just too much similarities when I was walking around seeing all this stuff. And that's where we kind of brought those two together. But so the hands represent the artisanal side of the house of it. Everything is done by hand. Everything's done, it's handcrafted. So there's no machines involved. So it kind of just shows the labor that's involved with there, the labor of the hands holding the heart and so forth like that. But having both of them together, really kind of the Mexican Sacred Heart and the Irish clattering, it kind of shows, they come from two different distinct cultures, but they share common themes of love, unity, faith, and the protection of connection with nature. So that's kind of what I kind of pulled from that for those two together. The little dots that go around outside of the flowers kind of represent they do represent the insects in here, the bees and so forth like that. They help with pollination between the different agaves, but they also help with fermentation of the actually cooked agave. When you're getting ready opened up after the cook and crushing and so forth, and goes into fermentation. So that's what represents there too. The owls too and the bats, all that kind of represents there. Now as we come a little more, you'll start seeing the flowers generally around it, around the heart. So those flowers are also part of the fermentation, because in different areas you're going to have different flowers growing around those agave fields or where you're fermenting and so forth. So the fermentation picks up all that wherever you're growing that area, flowers wise, and that's what that represents. It helps ferment. It helps create what becomes a very distinct taste for that area, for that mezcal. So then at the center of it, you have the heart, and that is the pina, the center heart of the agave or the pineapple. Sometimes they call it too, of the agave plant. And as we come up top, you'll see we talked about the crown. The crown being the pinca leaves, which is the agave leaves. They're creating the top part of the crown on there too. So put on there. So the colors change based on what mezcal we're doing of the four, either one of the ensembles or one of the single agave plants. But it is also my sort of a nod to Irish whiskey. So some of my favorite Irish whiskeys are the spots, yellow spot, green spot, red spots. And so that's why we kind of give a little nod to the Irish side of the house too, by doing that, changing the colors of each of the heart on that piece too. So that kind of gives you a little more about what that is and what we created with that. The name itself, O'Cahan. O'Cahan is my last name in Gaelic Irish. It is a form of spelling it that way, and represents traditionally represents the warrior clan, warrior in honor. So that's where We flow through with the Okahan being my last name Irish, and the agave being the Mexican coming together, Irish Mexican coming together, Okahan agave. And it rolls nice. That's what we kind of like it. So that gives you a little more about the label and how it is. And then we can talk about the back some other time. Probably not tonight because I'm going to have a little more mezcal. I'm going to try to get to bed early tonight. All right. Hasta luego.